the people that I work with that have this longevity of business, like make a lot of money in the long term, and sometimes even faster. The people who I work with that have this like quick hit, like drug money type thing, like dopamine, like boom, it's in and out, and it lasts sometimes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes a year. But it's that they're doing a new thing now, and a new thing, instead of like thinking like, how do I build a brand so I don't have to ever do this thing again?
Welcome to Show Me the Nuggets, where each week Joe chats with world-class entrepreneurs to find out the key principles, strategies, and processes that lie behind their outstanding achievements. Now, your host, the no-bullshit serial entrepreneur, Joe Troyer.
Hey everybody, it's Joe Troyer, and welcome to another episode of Show Me the Nuggets. Today we have on a guest that, man, I feel like should have been on such a long time ago. A good friend of mine, Los Silva. Los, man, without further ado, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. I know I feel like I should have helped launch this thing, but it's all good. No worries.
So, man, I'm excited to catch up. We haven't been talking too much lately. I think COVID, everything else, both like hustling and grinding right now. I feel like we're both in like big growth modes in what we're doing. So excited to catch up, see what you guys are, what you're up to right now. Before we dive in though and talk about today, man, let's talk about the past. How'd you get involved in digital marketing? Let's talk about maybe how we met and got introduced to each other, because, man, it's been a long time.
We met in a Facebook group in 2007 or 2008 called, I think it was called Florida Marketing Mafia. And it was just random internet marketers in Florida. And from there was like a local event in Florida. I drove to it. You drove to it. Super random. It was at a random hotel, and we just kicked it. We drank a bunch, and that's how friendships get started. And we've been, you're one of my best friends. So like we've been super close. We do family trips at least once a year. It's been amazing, man. I mean, I've known you now. What is that? Like 12 years? More, like 13 years,
time.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I got started, on Facebook, doing Facebook groups like that, kind of doing consulting for that, took that to LinkedIn, got into more digital marketing with ads. And now we do a lot of stuff in the creator, kind of like influencer space, and also with e-commerce.
All right, cool. So right now you guys run media through your agency called SVG Media, right? Right. And primarily you guys are doing e-com there, but you do lots of stuff inside that brand, right?
So SVG is actually changing names to creator agency, because we're only focused on working with creators. So influencers, thought leaders, etc. We have a separate arm. Essentially, it's actually a separate company now. It's called Powerhouse. And that one does media specifically for e-commerce. We only take on a few people. What we've done is we've hired new people on that side. I took some of the top people to come help lead that and build it out. And my partner Josh and I take equity in 2 or 3 companies a year, and we grow them internally. So it's kind of like a different model. With one of them, we do more like service work. With the other one, it's got to be like a ridiculous deal. If not, we're really not that interested. We're more interested in just growing our own companies and having equity in those things.
Hey, real quick, before we dive into the rest of this episode, real quick, I promise my team and I would like to personally thank you, our audience, yes, you listening right now, for all the amazing support that you guys have been giving the podcast. The growth has been just crazy, and I want you to know that we're super, super appreciative to you. So we've been trying to think of something cool that we could do to give back to our audience, to give back to you guys. And I think we've come up with something that's really, really unique. It's something that's special. So here's the thing. The team here at Digital Triggers, my own little team here, has decided that we're going to give away a gift pack that includes our top of the line resources to sell SEO, right? We know that so many of you guys out there are agencies. This is going to literally give you contracts, proposals, pitches, scripts that you guys can use, outreach templates. It's a pack of assets and collateral for anybody wanting to sell SEO services or marketing services to any type of business, not just local businesses. This has been used to land e-com deals, all kinds of deals out there. So if you didn't hear that, let me make it a little more clear. Okay, our Digital Triggers family is giving you some of the best of the content and the resources that we've ever put together absolutely free just for listening to the podcast, okay? All that you have to do is go to digitaltriggers.io/gift pack and you are good to go. Folks, it is that simple. We'll make sure that this page is up and ready for you guys by the time this episode airs. And with that being said, let's get back to the episode. All right. That was all right. I think that went okay.
Cool, man. So I would say your specialty, and correct me if I'm wrong, man, but going from minimum viable, having some revenue, kind of figuring something out, kind of have something working on the ad side, and you figured out the fulfillment side, and now you're ready to really grow. It seems like over the years has really been like your sweet spot.
Yeah, I suck at working with beginners. It's not it's just over the years. I mean, I've been doing this thing like 15 years now. It's just not where I like get excited. Is there a lot of money in beginners? 100%. It's just not the kind of stuff I want to be doing. And so we really work with people that are doing 20 to 50,000 a month and want to take it to $1 million or more. We've been lucky enough, like I've been a part of 4 businesses now that have hit 8 figures, and I've had a percentage in a few, over a dozen 7 figures. And now we kind of just have a system and a process and a model. I don't veer into too many things that I don't know either. That's another big thing that you know me. I used to be like, let's start a sandwich company. Let's start a clothing company. Let's make $1 for tomorrow. And it was never really good because it was $1 for tomorrow, not $1 for the next year. And now I'm very, very focused on, like, even with one of the businesses we have now, like it's going well. And when everyone's like in here trying to be like, let's speed it up. I'm like, well, my goal is for 2021 to be doing X amount of recurring, and we're on track for that, and not looking to mess this system up, right? And so I think as you grow as a seasoned entrepreneur, it's a lot less. It also, it's because we have money, right? So it's not that crazy. We can think longer term, but I want to be more a part of longer term opportunities that are not fly by night, are not quick hits. You know, like if I want a quick hit, I'm gonna go to the gym and get that endorphin rush, but I'm not gonna try to build a business anymore out of that.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, man. You said, you, for lack of a better word, you have kind of a playbook that you turn to for these brands, and you've jumped. I've seen you, helping influencers, helping e-com companies, and I mean, just doing crazy things. What are kind of the main things that you turn to in that playbook? What are the 3 or 4 levers that you find yourself like consistently pulling that just other people aren't as well as you guys, or just that are underperforming, so to speak?
So the big thing is always we put a face to the brand. I work with a lot of influencers. I used to be partners with them, but we've sold some of those brands. I learned my lesson. Now we just pay them. And we always have to have a face of the brand, because that creates an opportunity to build brand, to build community. And so most people are going for brand first. And nowadays, it just doesn't work. Even without just a face, using a lot of user generated content is something that we do. We just connect humans to the brand, and it really humanizes the opportunity for us to make more sales. We focus on increasing average order value. We run a lot of media. We're at like 4 million a month now, almost on ads. And so we've realized that what really works is bumping that AOV up. You're not, a lot of people we work with, they're like, I got to get my cost per impressions down. I got to get my cost per app. No, you don't. It is what it is. We can't change that. Let's just try to get a bigger average order. Let's learn what lifetime value means and how long we can afford to maybe even lose a couple bucks to bring people in. And so that's what we do in e-commerce. When it comes to influencers or thought leaders and stuff, we focus more on high ticket. It's because it allows us to lose money, right? Like when you're spending ads, it's a loss game. Like we're going to lose money, oftentimes more than we even make it, but we get the data. And then if you have a higher ticket offer, you allow yourself the opportunity to make those mistakes, pivot, and see how you can consistently generate more traffic, leads, and sales. And again, like always focusing on a back end, right? Everyone always has this one product, this one idea, and that's great. But for scale, you're going to find yourself like topped and capped, and you're going to need more, not just for the sake of doing more, but for the sake to be able to have an opportunity to get more revenue in the door, not just to take home, but to build an actual company. So really lifetime value, average order value, and always working with people. And on the influencer side, going higher end. We used to do a lot of ascension funnels, and I don't recommend them anymore. unless you're seasoned and you just have money to blow, there's too much learning and data and problems that can happen with that. And you're gonna slide into like $120 average order value and like $110 cost of acquisition. It's just too narrow. One little mistake and you're negative tens of thousands of dollars. So higher ticket allows us to do a better job at like scaling.
That's awesome. So yeah, lifetime value, average order value, and putting a face to the brand. I think those are all really, really good takeaways. I love what you said with lifetime value too, and AOV. A business partner of mine says, we're working on a funnel, and he says, "What's your cost per sale?" I'm like, $1,500. He's like, "That's it?" I'm like, "What do you mean that's it?" "Yeah, I mean, it could probably be less. I think we might be able to get it to 1,200. He's like, "No, like you need that to be like 2,500. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, you need to budget more on your cost per sale. Figure out how to make the rest of it float, and like media will become no problem. You know, buying traffic, then like all your stressors are gone, like because you can easily hit those KPIs."
Yeah,
like, wow.
We were working with someone who helps us on some funnel sides, and he was like, "Man, cost per booking is crazy good. We're at $61." And I was like, "I don't care." And he's like, "What do you mean? Look at the cost per booking." I was like, look at the cost for actual application. Look at the cost. Yeah. The cost per app was like cheap, and I was like, look at the actual cost per booking. It's costing us $700 to book. And he's like, "Oh, I know, it's crazy." I was like, "It's fine. We can actually go up to $1,500 actually for booking because I know the math on that. So we can keep scaling, but you got to stop. I don't care what it costs to basically get a half-ass application. You're not applying, not coming in. Like, it's not real money. Real money is I got 10 people that actually paid. I paid to get on a call, and if it works, then I can math that money out. But the cost might as well just be talking about cost per lead. Like, who cares?"
Yeah, it's just such a vanity metric. I think at the end of the day, you know, you get so caught up in those vanity metrics that you lose sight of what's really important.
Right. And sometimes people don't know what's really important because they go to events and they only hear the vanity metrics. Like, not a lot of people think, you know, when I say this booking thing, they're like, "Dude, that's kind of crazy." I'm like, "Bro, our average cost of sale is $2,750 recurring. So it's a $33,000 annualized sale. Like, I'm good, you know." Like,
So let's take that high ticket example. Like, that's very similar to like what agencies that are listening to this potentially have for a customer, you know, lifetime value. You know, I have an offer that's about a third of that. And so I think for context, in that business, when you're watching media, what are the KPIs that you care about? Not the team, right? I'm sure the team all in their different divisions have all these different numbers, but how do you, as the business owner, like, how do you keep your mind straight? Like, what are the things that you focus on?
I only focus on what is it costing us to actually get bookings in the high ticket, right? And the reason is, just like you said, everyone has like a skill set, and mine at this point isn't so much to look. I don't really care about the cost per clicks. I don't care about the cost per impressions. I care about how much money are we spending to actually book calls, and how many of those booked calls are qualified to make sales, right? So if we have 10 calls and we spent $1,000 on the booking, then we spent $10,000. If I can turn those $10,000 into 5 people at $2,750, I'm positive. If I turn them into 4, then I'm break even. But I understand that I have more money on the recurring. Now, where it's a problem is if I can't match the exact same quality next month, because now I'm negative because of mine is based off of recurring, just like an agency is based off recurring. So if I was to do an agency thing, which we have an agency, I would say, "Hey, I'm willing to spend $2,500 an application because I'm charging minimum $5,000. So you do the math there, and then you have to make sure though, like, hey, and this is a minimum 3-month contract. So then you can kind of figure out your numbers through that. But your cost for applications is irrelevant. Then you get into tight stuff as like blended ROAS. So like, well, if you look at this in our Instagram, it actually even goes lower. It doesn't go lower because you still spent the 10K. You still got 10 people. Like, that's still the same real number, because when I look at it as profit and loss, not like vanity statistical data. Statistical data shows me like what ads are converting, what makes sense. My clicks are doing well on this ad, or my, impressions look good here, but my clicks are bad here. That's statistical data relevant to like how to create new ads and new campaigns and new angles. But at the end of the day, I have to manage the books and look at the profit and loss. And if I'm paying too much, or if I'm not paying enough, I'm not scaling appropriately. And if I'm paying too much, I have to find a way to make up that revenue. Maybe it's an email list drop or something, so I can continue. I'm pretty okay right now with what we're doing on breaking even with our numbers, because they are recurring and we have an email list. And then I know that we do preview events, and that adds up and stuff like that. But not to get too technical, but then you have, people don't think about this, right? But then they have like cost of employees and team members and events and software, and that all ends up adding up. So you're thinking like, oh, I'm balling, but then you do the numbers and you're like, well, an affiliate here and a thing here and a thing here. Hey guys, we made 10K over the 100 because we weren't managing how much it's costing us to bring these people in.
No, 100%. Yeah, I love it. Real talk with Los Silva. No, I mean, it's super important. I know with our high ticket funnels that I work on, for me, with us scaling the way that we are and growing quickly, for me, last 7 days numbers is kind of all that I can handle. So I'm always just last 7 days media, last 7 days first payments or cash collected. And all that I care about is just cash flowing that and growing as fast as possible. As long as I cash flow that, and when we're growing, it might not cash flow a week, but then the next week it does, the next week it does, and then it falls back out. But as long as almost every week that's cash flowing, that's all that I care about, because I know, again, the recurring is going to take care of itself, and it's just stacking and building.
Yeah, I also look at cash collected per week, per month, and then annualized. I look at annualized almost as like a joke, like a gift, because it's annualized, but it's like today our numbers mean this specifically, right? Because you'll talk to them a lot, and they'll be like, oh, but we made $250,000. I'm like, no, we didn't. We made this much, right? Like, it's annualized at that much money, and that's cool, and it's real, and we have contracts, but actual in the bank cash collected, we made this much money. That's how much we have to have the conversation about, because you can get into a problem with people where they're like, dude, we made 100K this month on our agency. It's like, well, we made $25,000 collected, and something can go wrong, or this can go wrong, or you think you have more leeway on ads, and that's not true. Now you're screwing yourself, because you're thinking big boy stuff, when it's like the big boy stuff is the little bitty numbers that you're keeping. How do I keep more? Maybe you can figure out how to measure, like, you know what, it would be good to maybe have, instead of like, I could do this instead of $2,750, I could be like, listen, it's $5,000, and then it's this much. I could collect more up front. Well, the reason I don't do it is because I annualized $25,000 down and $2,200 a month. It's not a big enough pull for them to be like, oh, that's a good move, but it's an easier scale actually. You go $2,750, because the 5 hurts, the 2,750 is kind of irrelevant. And at annualized, the 2,200 still hurts them as much as the 2,750. So those are little micro things that you have to pay attention to make sure that your price point makes sense. The other reason we did the price point at that cost is because a shitty assistant, I don't know if I can curse, but a bad assistant is going to be $3,000 a month. So for the cost of less than a bad assistant, you get all these things for us. You know what I mean? And we work with, I understand 2,750 can be expensive, but not if you're talking to real businesses and stuff. It's just half of one decent employee.
Yep. No, for sure. I love the anchoring the price point to the employee is really, really smart.
Yeah. We're doing that with everything now. Me and Kent launched an operations thing, and it's $10,000. And they're like, why? It's the cost of 1 month of a real COO for the whole year. And they're like, oh, that makes sense. I'm like, yeah, for the cost of this, it's the same. If you look at it on little things, right? People will say for the cost of less than a Starbucks, because you can center like, oh, I buy Starbucks. Yeah, I could just do this instead. We're doing it the same thing. We're just charging, we're working with different stuff. If you have an agency and your price was $5K, I'm like, listen, for a price less than hiring someone that you're going to have to train, and you don't even have time to train them, you're getting an actual whole team. How does that not make sense? It makes total sense.
Yep. And we're experts in what you do and in your niche, and we've already done it. Here are the case studies, here are the results.
Right.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Cool, man. So moving on a little bit, transitioning. I know that working with influencers, you ended up creating this C4 method. Can you talk a little bit about what the heck that is and why it's important?
Yeah. So influencers kind of made me realize basically the reason I created it is because we were making so much money with some of them and sending them like $100,000 a month checks just for them, that they stopped working. They're going to Hawaii, they're doing this and that. I was like, man, like we still need content. So I was like, you know what, out of spite, because I'm kind of weird like that, I was like, I'm just going to become an influencer and prove to these guys that it's not a big deal. That way it'll also help me when I sell people. Like, listen, I'm an influencer too. It's not that crazy. And so I created this method. It's C4, which stands for content, conversations, community, and conversions. And this works really, really well if you're doing high ticket. It also works for ecom, but for high ticket, let's talk about that more. Really, content is something you need to be creating in everything. Like I've been doing a lot of stuff right now on Clubhouse. I'm doing TikTok. I'm driving all that into my Instagram, and they're seeing more content. You get to know, like, trust me, it's the influencer angle, right? With everyone, you're an influencer because you're a creator. You're creating content. Then I take that into conversations. I move people from that into DMs. I use opportunities inside of Instagram, such as like polls and questions. And I reach out to people. Hey, I saw you voted in my poll. Hey, come reach back out. Like if you're interested in this and this, it starts the conversation. If they're not ready to engage into an application or something, I move them into a community, whether it's a close friends group on Insta, which it's the little, like the green thing, or you can move it into a Facebook group, email list, whatever the case. It's a community nonetheless, right? Give me your cell phone number. There's actually a texting tool now called Community, which is just texting, right? And so if you have all those three things, you're consistently giving content, you're having communication with people. Communication is the new form of currency nowadays. Everyone wants to talk, everyone wants to see. It's less like just buy this, here it is. Like, why? Who are you? Like, why should I do it, right? So you have content, communication. If you build a community, you have a rabid amount of the same people in the same space, giving you testimonials, showing results, like really verifying and edifying you. And then conversions is just easy. Like you don't have to worry about it because you've put all the time into these three buckets that when you're ready to make a sale, people are ready to engage with you and sell or apply to work with your stuff. They already know you. The sales calls go from like an hour of like fake discovery. You're like, tell me why this is hard for you and what would this mean to your life? To like, listen, dude, you know what it is. This is what it is. This is how much it costs. You ready to go? I'm ready to go, bro. Let's do this.
Perfect. So if somebody's running a traditional, let's say like book a call funnel, typical application funnel right now, and they want to add on the C4 method, like what does that actually look like?
So you would run traffic, and then you would also, there's a few things you can do. One of them could be moving people from traffic to, if they're not opting in or they're not applying, moving them into Instagram to engage with you. From Instagram, you start those conversations on DM. You can make a feed post, say, I'm looking for 5 entrepreneurs that want to scale their ads. Here's some results. You do a slide post on, so when they slide, they see some results, either video testimonials or screenshots of results. And then you have conversations with them. Again, if they're like, I'm not that interested, phase 3, you move them into a community and you just give them content. You don't sell anything. You don't pitch. You just do free trainings like this and just free content, free value, even posting memes and stuff. And then from there on, you can retarget all those people to come back to an application. With what I would do is I would make a landing page of just my YouTube content, and at the bottom, a book a call. Why not a whole landing page and the whole? You already see it. You already saw it. You already saw my lander. You already saw my stuff. You already know it. So I don't need to trick you or convince you again that like this is some magical offer. You get it. Here's more content from me, and there's a booking page at the bottom to try to get you to reapply and convert.
Love it. Yep. So push them to a platform, get them to engage, build the conversations. If they're ready to buy, push them into a sales call or sell them. If not, community, long-term follow-up, lots of value. And that makes ultimately conversions become simple.
And understand that no one's ready to buy. That's just the truth. Yeah. Mathematically speaking, no one's ready to buy. You know, we just did an event here in person, and we had people be like, dude, I've been following you for 3 years, 2 years, 3 months. Like you gotta convince them that like this, you're the solution. You know, our average, we know that like on average, people need to engage with us for 3 to 6 months to really go into it. So that what that means is I got to put my time into content. I got to get more stuff out. I got to spend more money on retargeting. I just got to give more things for free. And a lot of people think that that's flawed, but like I'll teach you everything for free, because the difference between, you can have it all for free. You can have all of our logins, you too, but you want to get on a call, you want to get a specific answer, a specific question. That's what you're actually paying for in training, right? You're paying for like the time collapse of like, oh, no, do this. Oh, no, don't buy that, buy this. Like that alone is worth the money. And people know that. And that's why, I would suggest people moving forward, try to give as much as they can for free, because there are no secrets. What there are situations, and every situation is different. That's why you need to get on a phone call.
Selling certainty, right? When somebody's like, they've had it, right? And you're the guy that's added all this value, right? It's like, man, I got to go to Los because he's helped me. He's added all this value. And I know that Los could answer these questions, right? He could solve this, help me get there much faster. So I agree. Yeah. One's going to be right for the prospect and try to, instead of the opposite, right? So that makes 100% sense. So I'm curious, Los, you have worked with probably more people than I know in high ticket, man, probably more than anybody else, right? Selling all kinds of different stuff. What makes or breaks the high ticket offers? Like what's the 80-20 of like, yes, this works, or no, it doesn't? Like you need to rethink your offer.
It is the personality, the way that they engage with people, the content that is consistent, and the level of what I call like masochism that you're willing to endure, right? A lot of people have a big offer, they're big famous, and I can make 200,000 off Instagram without having to spend ads. You start pouring a couple bucks on ads and it doesn't work. And they're like, oh, this doesn't work. I'm like, no, you're not. The ads is the world, right? Like it's like I can go to your house and I know everyone in your family. I can knock on your neighbor's house and they'll call the cops. Like it's like, oh, but it's close. It's neighborhood. It's the same thing. It's not the same thing. Like you're going to the universe, and the universe doesn't know who you are, man. As much as you think you're famous, none of us are famous. Like none of us are famous in any way, right? And it'll be proven to you when you start spending money on ads, right? And so if you're willing to endure understanding and getting the data and taking it slower, you will have success faster. And the people that I've seen have success faster, like we have a buddy of mine who we're partners on this brand now. We took it from 0 to 1.8 in 2 months. It's just because he is a dynamic Tai Lopez level personality. Like the dude produces more content that you'll ever do. He'll outwork you on it flat out, like point blank. He knows who he's talking to. He'll cater to that particular audience. He'll do he is an actor in that particular situation. And that is special. Like I'm not as good as that. You're not. Like that's really, really crazy to do it. And I'm not willing to dive in the way he's willing to dive in and like be so crazy and sometimes flashy and this and that, like have like a more subdued personality in some ways, and that's important. That's really, really important. The bigger personality, but like really giving also content and value and being right about it, the faster you're going to get results and the more you're willing to endure. Like with Kent, we took 3 months. And we lost money, almost broke even, but lost like almost $300,000 trying to get one offer to work. And now it's working, and it worked for a year. And then we had to pivot into a new style offer, which worked faster because we had acquired a similar style audience at that point. But that's the other thing, like know when to pivot, know when to test, and always be trying to beat your controls, because people coast. They're like, oh, this is my vibe. I'm winning. I'm rich. Like this is going to be it forever. It's going to be it until it's not. And then you're going to have to change it. So you have to also think the people that I work with that have this longevity of business, like make a lot of money in the long term and sometimes even faster. The people who I work with that have this like quick hit, like drug money type thing, like dopamine, like boom, it's in and out, and it lasts sometimes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes a year, but it's that they're doing a new thing now and a new thing instead of like thinking like, how do I build a brand so I don't have to ever do this thing again? And that's really where I've been spending a lot of my time lately, is just like, how do I just do all this stuff and build this audience and be like, hey, I've got more for you, but not have to like build new offers, new opportunities, new tricks and hacks and stuff, because I'm not that smart. I have like a pretty particular set of strategies, and that's kind of it. And that I just want to talk about that. Kind of like Frank Kern, man. Frank Kern's taught the same thing for 10 years, and people are like, man, he says the same thing. I'm like, yeah, it works, and it still works. He's just consistent with that.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Awesome, brother. I got one more question to wrap it up. This has been awesome. It's been fun just hanging out. It's been like we're sitting across the table from each other, just shooting the shit. So been a fun one. So at the end of every podcast episode, I always ask, instead of, I feel like every podcast says like, hey, what's your favorite 3 books, Los? I do something a little different. I say like, looking at your business now, not 6 months ago, not 6 years ago, like looking at it now, what book do you think has made the biggest impact on the way that you guys are doing business, attacking business right now?
It's not a business book.
Okay.
It's by this guy, Frederick Dodson, and it's called Levels of Energy.
Okay. Tell us what that means. What is Levels of Energy?
It's a book about like every person at every stage has like a certain level of energy. Like level 0 is like crackheads. Like level 100 is like people that are pissed off. Like level 500 is like people that are super good at like a lot of things. And so I think that at this point, what we're trying to do, like, we don't need another marketing book. We need to understand the problems that are happening are mindset problems and ego problems and like energy problems almost. And I know that sounds woke, and I'm not really a woke dude, but like, I can understand, like, it's made me be empathetic and listen. It helps in leadership when you know, like, oh, dude, he's here right now. Probably not a good time to talk about this. This is happening. Probably not a good time to bring this up. This is in a great mood. Let's leverage that to move over here. This is a good sales call, or this is a bad sales call based off like the level of this person's energy. So it really kind of like, it's almost a sales psychology book with it like hiding inside of like wokeness. But it really helps you kind of, even for yourself, you can be like, man, like, I'm not killing it today. What's going on? Like, my levels of energy are down. What do I need to do to bring it back up? Like, how can I practice being grateful? Like, I've been doing a lot of like thoughtfulness and like being grateful. Just like when I'm like stressed out, I'm like, oh, we could go faster. I go back and I'm like, man, I can't even believe I'm here. Like, it's crazy. And why am I here? What are the results that have gotten me here? Like, okay, I feel really good. Tomorrow's always a better day and stuff like that. So I would recommend that book for people. And then another book, which again is not a business book, but it's called Breathe. It just teaches you how to breathe, again, to like calm your central nervous system, do stuff like that. Like, you know, we run a lot of businesses now. We spend a lot of money on ads. We're doing a lot of stuff, and I've never been more chill. Like, we don't work on Fridays. I leave 2 to 3 times a week at like 3 o'clock or 2:30, and like the businesses are growing, and it's because like I am not forcing everything anymore. I'm very calm on our goals, our missions, our visions, where we're going, and it's made people inadvertently, without me forcing it, move into their next place, give themselves more confidence, understand like when to have better conversations, have better meetings and stuff like that. So I think it's a really good book to like help businesses go to the next level.
That's awesome, man. 2 great recommendations. We'll definitely, I've read the second, but not the first. We'll definitely dive into that first one. That sounds good. If somebody wants to connect with you personally, maybe on social, what's the best place for that?
Dude, I'm going to do the C4. You got to go to Los Hustle on Insta.
All right. What's the rest of the method? You got to lay it out. Then you're going to message me. You're going to reply to one of my.
Just go say hi at Los Hustle, and you'll see the rest.
All right, guys, you heard it here. Los, man, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We'll make sure we get you back here in the future.
Awesome, man. I'll talk to you soon.
See you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to Show Me the Nuggets. If you've been enjoying the podcast and find our content helpful, please visit our Apple Podcast page, hit the subscribe button, and leave us a review. Joe and the whole team have been working hard to bring more value to the show. Your feedback will go a long way in helping us make the show better and reach a wider audience.